Peace, Mike Geronimo, right here, Report Card Radio, with my guy, biggest in charge, Mikey T, the superstar. We here, y'all.
I want to ask you, man, when was it that Nas told you that you should be on the radio?
It was, I went to Large Professor's crib maybe a couple of days after we did Ja Rule. And I actually was going to play Nas, the B-side, Him and Heads, because we sampled him. So I wanted him to hear it, so he could, this is the homage to my homie, this is to you, or whatever. And we played Eminez, and he didn't really like Eminez, the one with his sample, but he liked Ja Rule, and he was just like, he's like the B-side, he's like, yo, that B-side, the shit with my voice, like, I don't really know about that, but that shit's real shit. You should be on the radio tomorrow with that. And that kind of shocked me, because for so many different reasons. One, I'm getting to know him as a person because he's in my neighborhood now on a frequent basis. Two, he's a phenomenal MC. Like, I'd never known anybody rapping like that before I heard him. And three, I saw how much of a regard Large had for him. So for him to say that to me, while I'm turning on Video Music Box and halftime is coming up. So to me, it was just mind blowing to hear and be like, that shit should be on the radio. And that was kind of like, I think it was like the last little bit of personal confirmation that I needed, from anything outside of myself to let me feel like, yeah, maybe you are on to something. So for him to say that to me that day was big. Shout out to Nas.
So, Mike, we were speaking on it a little bit earlier about, not really knowing your voice, not hearing the voice the same way that everyone else does. Do you think that was something being so early, in the 90s and shit? Do you think it was something like that Nas was thinking, maybe like not really being as fully comfortable with his voice?
I mean, I don't know. Like, you would definitely have to ask him, where he would know better than anyone. I think that we all, before we're asserted in something, we all, as humans, human nature, everyone has doubt. Like, to what degree you have doubts, it depends on the individual. But I think everybody has a little bit of well, what if this or what if that? Because you just don't know until you figuratively jump in the water and swim.
Right.
So. But I, if he did have any reservations or if he did have any doubt, I think it was probably very, very minimal. I believe he's so talented that it's not like he didn't know how talented he was. So, yeah, but I think we all go through that, and I don't know with him, if he had to do anything to make himself more comfortable or what the case may be, but he was on point from day one.
So yo, Mike, I want to ask you, man, after Nas told you that you should be on the radio, did you realize that music was for you at that point?
No, not even then. I don't think that I've ever really realized that music was for me. I just think that it's a part of me in the sense of, you don't ask for the things that make you, like, you don't. You just hit this earth the way that you are, and you have what's in you because it is. And so with me, like, I don't know that I ever looked at it like, all right, this is for me. I just knew that whatever I ended up doing, I would always want to make everybody proud. And I would always want to know that whatever I did, it was the thing for me to be doing. So I think once I found that sense about it, where I was like, yeah, for some strange reason, you should be doing this now. Don't ask me why, but you should. And that's how I felt about it. and I just stuck with it. That's it.
Can you tell me about the relationship that you got to have with Jay-Z?
Yeah, I mean, I met him through Gotti, you know, much in the same way that I met X and Rule, and we were just cool the minute that we met, you know, and I think really with all four of us, maybe it's because, you know, Irv had such a part to play in all our careers, and I think that we were all kind of heading somewhere at the same time. I don't think we all realized where we were going, but that in itself helped the camaraderie, and that in itself helped, you know, the bond. And then, you know, as time passed and he became more successful, and you know, all of us are putting music out, and we're all, you know, moving through it. Like we would all always, you know, be at each other's events or each other's shows, or if Roc-A-Fella had a party, we would all go. If the Ink had a party, they would all come. Rough Riders would be there. So there was always this bond between us and Rough Riders and Roc-A-Fella. And I think that bond grew from the bond that me, Irv, Jay, Ja, and X had. You know, so it's just amazing how it all developed. And I'm honored to say that these are the people that I started with, and that, you know, they started with me, and it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing thing.
So I want to ask you about working with these guys, man. Ja, Jay-Z, DMX, Time to Build. Is this a record that you all got in the studio together to record, or did Irv take it around to each of the guys, man?
He kind of did that. I think the only two people, I think me and Rule were, no. I actually think I laid my verse first. And then I think Rule heard, and then he laid his verse, but we both recorded at Diner Dog. Then I can't remember if X went before Jay or Jay went before X, but he took it to each of us individually. I think that initially we probably were gonna be together, at least me and Rule in the same session, but it was no big deal. He took it to each of us, and we all did what we were doing. And I had no idea that at that time that, you know, X and Jay had like a little rivalry. I didn't know. So, you know, when I first heard the song, I'm just hearing them spit. But then Irv's the one who points out to me, like, no, Jay is dissing X in his verse. And then he's like, but X is dissing Jay in his verse.
Wow.
So then when I listened again, I was like, that's just fucking crazy, you know? So amazing event, amazing record.
Wow, that's crazy, man, because we heard that more recently in Young Buck's debut album. He actually had Ludacris and T.I. on the same record, Stomp, and they were both dissing each other. G-Unit and Interscope later removed T.I. and replaced him with The Game, you know, strategically.
Right, exactly. Now, we kept it G. We left everybody in place.
Wow, man. So what was Irv trying to do right there, placing Rule, X, and Jay on your album on a record together? What was he trying to sell? 1 million records? Trying to make the greatest hip-hop record of all time? What was he trying to do?
I don't think we even, I mean, again, he could probably answer it better than me, but he's so much of a visionary, bro. And knowing Gotti, he probably saw something that the rest of us didn't see. And I think it was probably one of those moments where he saw something and he was just like, yo, I know what to do. And he did, you know, and I don't think that any of us in hindsight, I don't think any of us thought that for one moment that song or that moment was going to be a defining moment in terms of what happens afterwards. but I definitely think it was like a precursor, or it was kind of a um it was kind of like the looking into the possibility of, well, what if you had a super group, and what if you had MCs that were, they're not just potent this way, but they're potent that way, and you have one that's this and one that's that, and one that's this. And I think he had that vision, and he just wanted it captured.
Yeah, that group, they always speculate that the group was actually going to be called Murder Inc., you know, but it turned out to be a record label. So I want to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
looking at those three, even though Irv came to you and said, yo, X and J are dissing each other on this record, listen to it. Did you look at them three like a super group?
Nah, I just looked at them like that's my people. Like, you know, but like I said, with me, it was very different. Like, I didn't concentrate on maybe things that people would. I didn't think about those things. So I just looked at it like I'm having the time of my life being around people that love to rap, because that makes me want to rap, you know? So that's all that I was getting from it. And just the fact, like, it's just dope to have friends that you can record music with, and then you can chill out with after. So it's cool, you know.
So, Mike, I want to ask, man, how did you form such a tight relationship with Ja Rule?
We just clicked. Like, the minute we met, we clicked. And I knew Chris Black, and I knew O1.
Right.
You know, like, I knew Chris Black actually before I knew Rule and Otha. But when I did meet Rule, we clicked. And then it ended up like I would go over to his crib in Woodhall on a weekend, and I might crash over there, you know, um, just chill out in his neighborhood. And then, you know, whenever I had a session, he would come, and then it just became very natural for all of us to just have that whole, you know, that bond, that wherever one went, the other one went. You know, and we was all on the same team. So it it just made it that much cooler that when we did meet, we did click, we did bond, and the rest was history.
Yo, man, at one point, Ja Rule was arguably the hottest of the three. At one point,
Mm-hmm.
Ja Rule was arguably the hottest rapper in the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but I think I don't think that there was any bad day at Def Jam during that time, because you had X, who was just out of this world, and you had Jay, who was out of this world, and Rule, who also was out of this world. And each of them did things that didn't just, you know, they didn't just exceed the mark, but they just every single time would take it to a brand new level.
Right.
And I know with Rule, he was very passionate about where he could take his music. He was very passionate about, you know, in terms of being a writer, what could he try next? What kind of song worked next? And I think for him, the creativity is half the fun. So he would just lock down, and the more successful he was, the more focused he would get in terms of, okay, what's the next thing? And that was remarkable to see, you know, because it's not, I don't ever think that I've ever seen a moment where Rule was content with what he had done. He always wanted to do, like, nah, okay, that's just the beginning. Wait till I do this. And he was always driven to do something major, and to watch that develop and to watch that flourish. It was awesome.
Yeah, look what he did. He ended up, you know, he ended up making records with Jennifer Lopez that'll be
Yeah,
remembered
with, I
forever.
mean, with J-Lo, and he was in the Fast and the Furious series, and
Right.
you know, from
I
there he
told you
had
though,
branched off.
I was like, I was the first one to ask Ja Rule. I was like, Rule, why didn't you do the role in Too Fast, Too Furious, big bro? I was the first one to ask him that shit.
Right, right. But I mean, he branched off into so many other things. And even now, to watch him, you know, building and developing and working Icon his company, like even that's just cool to see. So
Ja's the man.
absolutely, that's my bro, man. I'm very proud of him. I'm very happy for him.